Get this. Adults with financial literacy skills have 82% more wealth than those who don't. From swimming lessons to piano classes, us parents invest in so many things to enrich our kids' lives. But are we investing in their future financial success? With Greenlight, you can teach your kids financial literacy skills like earning, saving, and investing. And this investment costs less than that after-school treat. Start prioritizing their financial education and future today with a risk-free trial at greenlight.com/get-started. That's GREENLIGHT.com/get-started.
That's the misreading everyone does of Spanos. He's not rejecting new criticism. He's arguing that it can be more broadly applied.
Yeah, I feel like there's a backtrack from deconstructionism, though.
Well, not according to him, it
I feel
isn't.
like we should stick with TV shows and movies, guys.
Okay, now listen carefully. We're going to go back now. Back.
Your back or my back?
We're facing the same direction.
Well, no, not now. I turned around to look at you. So,
oh my God, I hate you so much.
What is the car doing in the middle of the studio?
No. Don't tell me. This week's episode's about the USS William D Porter, so you smash the car into the studio, because every week, Eli has to destroy the studio in some way.
No.
No, I get it. It's thematic. It's the laugh to start the show. But every week, I have to buy new mics and equipment. I have to stop bringing my personal stuff into work, because it gets destroyed once a week, man.
Yep, but it's regular, yes. But Cecil, one thing.
What do you want?
we didn't do this on purpose.
What, you didn't?
No. Eli was just trying to actually parallel park a car.
Oh, yeah, that tracks.
That makes total sense now, actually. More sense.
Okay, all right, fine. Well, back it up, I guess.
Which back?
Oh my God!
Hello and welcome to Citation Needed, the podcast where we choose a subject, read a single article about it on Wikipedia, and pretend we're experts, because this is the internet, and that's how it works now. I'm Noah, and I'm going to be anchoring the show this week, but to do that, I'll need some other folks. First up, the rudder of the show, because he gives us all direction, and the show's main mast, because he's tall, Cecil and Heath.
Cool. I love this.
You just want me in the back of the boat because I weigh the most, not because I steer well.
Yeah, well, so I am not the ballast. That's official. I'm the fucking
That's
man.
exactly upgrade. And also joining us tonight are...
I'm not nothing. I'm tall. I love this. I've upgraded adjectives. This is great.
And also joining us tonight are two men who are fighting over who got to be coxswain way before they knew what it meant, Eli and Tom.
Do you want me to sign you up for a grinder as a prank? Because they will love you on there, T-Dog. No, I think it's a fun...
For the last time, Eli, no. And take down that FetLife account you made for me, too. I'm not even sure what yard stuff is, but I'm not into it. I'm waking up with very
Tom,
upsetting statuary all over the lawn. Damn it.
All right, and before we get going, of course, we want to take a second to thank our patrons, because without them, we wouldn't even have a second to thank our patrons. If you'd like to learn how to join their ranks, be sure to stick around to the end of the show. And with that out of the way, tell us, Heath, what person, place, thing, concept, phenomenon, or event will we be talking about today?
We're going to be talking about the epic failure of the USS William D Porter.
All right, so what was the USS William D Porter?
The William D Porter was a ship in the United States Navy during World War II that did everything wrong. From day one of its first mission, everything the Navy tried to do with this ship was a tragic farce of slapstick failure. Now, I'm not saying I believe in the existence of magical Nazi prankster demons, but a magical Nazi prankster demon clearly put an evil hex on this ship. It's like the concept of Eli's driving was a Navy ship somehow. We won the war despite the USS William D Porter.
Okay, I'll have you know that some people find the William D Porter the adorable heart of the U.S. Navy, and not the least attractive ship. Not the least attractive ship.
Okay.
Cuddly
So
ship.
the story of the William D Porter.
The more to love ship.
Dad bod ship.
Exactly.
Okay, so the story of the William D Porter, also known as the Willie D, begins in 1942 in Orange, Texas, where it was built. The first launch was on September 27th, and it was sponsored by Mary Elizabeth Reeder. I guess we had private sponsorship for boats back then, or for launching boats or something.
I don't know much about history. I'm pretty sure the Navy had a boats budget, though. Did the Navy not have a boats budget?
I mean, come on, how surprised are you now that it doesn't just have like tide along the side of all of our vessels?
So the Willie D was a Fletcher-class destroyer, which means some boat thing about how it replaced the Somers class and the Porter class, which were stupid fucking boat classes, and they made the Fletcher instead. But they named it Porter, which feels like a mistake and maybe part of the curse because it's the name of the shitty class that it was a new. So apparently the Fletchers were super good at all the different Navy stuff, including anti-submarine, anti-aircraft, and also regular boat-on-boat fighting. They were so good that after the war, we actually sold a bunch of these Fletchers to Italy, Germany, and Japan.
It's so good. I feel like maybe we put an exhaust port that was barely 2 meters wide on them somewhere. I don't know for sure.
In terms of the weaponry, the Willie D had torpedoes with 500-pound warheads. They had a battery of AAA anti-aircraft guns and a battery of dual-purpose 5-inch 38 caliber shell guns. And Cecil, before you ask, they can actually move the angles all around on the shell guns.
Oh, Jesus.
With 45 degrees. It's definitely one of the options, but they use all the other ones, a bunch of the other ones too anyway. A bunch of other angles.
Yeah, this callback to Agincourt is so protracted. Just let me know.
Oh, Cecil. I mean, come on, man. It's a cute gag, but it feels a little obtuse.
Okay.
Boo.
Oh, you followed up protracted with that? Okay. All right.
Okay, moving on. Fun fact. Fun fact about the angles. The use of different angles is actually what dual purpose means in the title of that gun. The single purpose version was set at 35 degrees for land and water targets only, but these dual purpose ones could go up to 85 degrees for shooting at flying targets.
Yeah, the 90-degree gun's super unpopular. So
Yeah.
if you like going fast enough and they're behind you, it works. But yeah.
I'm glad that we had a gun where you don't have to ask the enemy to scooch back a bit to use it.
We were doing that for a while, and they were like, maybe we move it. Yeah, so we got ones that move. So the Willie D gets commissioned in July of 1943, and their first mission is set to begin on November 12th. They were assigned to leave from Norfolk, Virginia, and be part of the convoy that would accompany the USS Iowa on a voyage to North Africa. And this is important. The Iowa was secretly carrying President Roosevelt, who was on his way to the Cairo conference to meet with Winston Churchill and Chiang Kai-shek, and then the Tehran conference with Churchill and Joseph Stalin. It feels like an Air Force type of job to me,
right?
Instead of the Navy to make that happen. But apparently FDR wanted to sail through the Atlantic Ocean at this moment, which was full of Nazi submarines. Can't imagine why.
I get it. He wanted to get his sea legs.
Okay.
Too soon.
Wow. Super mean. Super mean. The person in charge of the Willie D was Lieutenant Commander Wilfred A. Walter. And of course, he wanted to make a good first impression.
Well, yeah, just because he'd blown it as the mayor of Whoville, run to redeem himself.
Wait, what? The Grinch thing?
Yeah. His name is silly.
It's a Seussian name.
It's a silly name.
Wilfred Walters sounds like Dr. Seuss. Yep. Okay, so Wilfred A. Walter, he's on the fast track.
I'm glad we're doing live notes on jokes now.
Sure the fuck are. So, Jesus Christ. Eli's comedy, he's comedy ballast sometimes. It's really exhausting. You got to point it out.
We should do a show with friends.
He's not tall enough. That's the problem.
The
Also
jokes
that.
take too long to reach Heath up there.
Classic. Menaced. So Wilfred A. Walter, as I was saying, he's on the. Please don't interrupt unless you have something good. So Wilfred A. Walter, he's on the fast track with his Navy career. He's recently promoted, and being part of the escort for President Roosevelt was a big honor. So the night before they left for Africa, he told his crew to make sure they paid attention to every little detail, and they demolished a ship right next to him. Not even day one. This is day 0, night before.
What?
Somehow, during a really bad parallel parking moment, the Willie D's anchor got caught on this other ship's railing and just tore the shit out of everything.
Oh, Jesus.
The only damage to the Willie D was a scratched anchor, but the other ship was mangled.
Look, it's just, it'll buff out. We don't have to go through the insurance. I got $100 right now, and you're sinking. Feels like you left the scene. Yeah. So.
Also, side note, this was the first of several spots on Wikipedia where an extremely bitter edit war is happening on this topic. Somebody who very clearly worked on the crew for the Willie D, probably in the parking and anchor safety department that they have. This guy is furious about all the embarrassing stories, and he keeps trying to ask for citations and also add his own stuff to the article. Usually this takes the form of a link to the ship's log of the Porter and a really angry claim that there's nothing written in the diary about me fucking up that other boat with the anchor that didn't happen in the diary. In this particular spot, it says, William D. Porter was moored between the Young and the Cogswell, and none of the three ships reported giving or receiving damage to one another in their war diaries during the first half of November of 1943. That's an exact quote, which sounds like a really specific claim that's maybe technically true, but also that guy definitely fucked up the Young or the Cogswell with his anchor on November 11th, and they didn't write it down until the 16th or later. Or they didn't write it down in the war diary because they were still in Norfolk, Virginia, so they didn't even start that yet.
Or because it was, I fucked up the other boat trying to park mine. Or maybe the war diary sank because they're all incompetent.
Was that in the sinking diary? No.
If it doesn't happen in the Champagne region of France, it's just sparkling incompetence. Citation needed.
All right, so that brings us to day one. And it's been 0 days since the last workplace accident. William D. Porter meets up with the Iowa and the rest of the convoy, and they're heading across the Atlantic. And again, it's full of German U-boats, so they're all under strict orders to maintain complete radio silence, and they're told to make sure they don't do anything that could get detected by the enemy. And at this point, it's been about 24 hours since the anchor smashing thing, so somebody's flipping the workplace accident counter from 0 to 1, and then there's a giant explosion under the convoy. So they all start doing anti-submarine maneuvers, and they're not supposed to be on the radio. So they just keep doing the serpentine or whatever they do for a while until someone from the Willie D finally gets on the radio and admits that, okay, one of our depth charges fell off the back of the ship and then it blew up because I forgot to flip on the safety thing that makes Jesus Christ.
What? Just some sailor on the back of the boat doing depth charge quick draw stuff in a mirror.
Yeah, okay, I get that it exploded because they didn't have a safety on. Fine. But, like, shouldn't the barrels of high explosive be tied down?
They should.
Or something?
Right.
Did they run out of bungee cord funds? Were they not independently sponsoring the bungee
Get a
cords?
lady from fucking Texas to buy you a cord? Come on. So easy. All right. We also got some more edit war at this point. Someone wrote, ship's logs from William D. Porter and Iowa do not mention a lost depth charge nor a U-boat search on November 13th. Again, it feels like the same guy running the same play. That happened. Anyway, moving on to day 2. And it's been 0 days since the last workplace accident.
Negative
Convoy
one.
is sailing along, no problem. And then a freak giant wave somehow hit the Willie D, but none of the other ships in the convoy. I guess they spread out a lot.
Yeah.
I was picturing like a lazy river party with like floating cooler in the middle. Apparently that's not how they do it. So the giant wave completely strips away everything on the deck of the Willie D that wasn't lashed down. And according to naval historian Kit Bonner, but not according to the weirdly defensive guy on Wikipedia from the parking department of the Willie D. According to Kit Bonner, one sailor got washed overboard at this point and never found.
The ship's log says nothing about Steve's last words being, gosh, I wish we were better at boats. So fuck you. Fuck you. Kit Bonner.
So as this is all happening, Captain Walter has to make a report to the USS Iowa about once an hour to explain whatever stupid thing they did most recently, with the President of the United States very possibly listening to this. Just a reminder, the ideal amount of radio talk would be 0 at this point because of U-boats. So now Captain Walter's on the radio explaining about the freak wave and the lost sailor, when one of his crew from the background yells to him, "Captain, one of our boilers just broke." So he's like, "Fuck, I got to call you back. I promise I'm not a Nazi spy. I promise I'm not." Click. So he hangs up. They did eventually get the boiler working again, but they spent the next several hours falling out of formation with the convoy like idiots until it was finally fixed. During which time, Captain Walter had to call back the USS Iowa several times and explain to the commander there and the president of the United States why they were falling out of formation like idiots and not protecting the president of the United States.
God, it's like if my first car went to war.
Sorry, Mr. President. This is my second in command. Zipped his balls and is flying. We had the whole team trying to extricate his sack. Yes, sir. He'll wear underwear next time. Yes, sir. Well, he is a commando, sir. So
that is way less problematic than everything they ever did on the ship.
Right?
That's like way smarter than anything they ever did. So that brings us to day 3, and they stopped using the counter thing. It's dumb to use it. It would have said 0.
Just depressing at this point.
It would have said 0. Yeah, the convoy is just east of Bermuda, and President Roosevelt tells the captain of the USS Iowa that he wants to see a demo of how the ship would defend against an air attack. So they launch a bunch of weather balloons to use as targets to show off their anti-aircraft guns.
Oh, God. This is every fucking dog and pony show for the big boss touring the facility ever. Except that, if the competition hears you, they send an underwater missile into the tin can you float on, and you simultaneously burn and drown at the same time.
Sure is. That is the situation. Correct. And this actually went off without a hitch. Of course, I'm talking about the USS Iowa, not the Willie D at this moment. So the prankster demon hex doesn't really have jurisdiction, I guess. So the USS Iowa floats the balloons, and the Iowa shoots off some cool firepower, and FDR is duly impressed. And luckily for the Iowa, so is the chief of naval operations, Admiral Ernest J. King, who's also on board. And according to, again, naval historian Kit Bonner, Admiral King is a giant, terrifying human being who you do not want to make angry. Bonner also added, exact quote, "Up to this time, no one knew what firing a torpedo at Admiral King would mean." End quote.
All right. Well, my money is on he would blow the fuck up, but I guess we're going to have to wait to find out until after Apropos of Nothing.
Captain Walter, forgive me if I don't get up. I totally could, though.
Of course you could, sir. Of course you could. Welcome to the William D Porter. Here you'll find the finest ship
hey,
that
Captain.
a man...
You told me to weigh the anchor, and I got confused. So, it's not anymore.
It's not what?
Yeah, it's not.
Okay. First Mate Johnson, this is the president.
Oh, hey, hi. Yeah, I heard you can't walk.
Oh, I totally can. I can absolutely walk if I wanted to.
Easy.
I am going easy.
You're not. You're going super fast.
You can be careful going super fast.
Ah, fuck.
I quit the boat.
What exactly was that?
Just testing the depth charges, sir. Nothing to worry about.
Sorry, really... Captain. You took too long getting back to me on that anchor thing. Now the boiler's broken. It's just real.
What do you mean, go
It's
get
not
it?
that deep.
Captain!
Yes, Mr. President.
If you tell everybody I walked around, I won't tell anyone about your boat.
Fucking deal, Mr. President.
Do either of you guys know how to fix a boiler? Not a clue.
What's a boiler?
So that's what I said. I don't.
And we're back. When we last left off, MacGyver was telling Captain Walter there weren't enough paper clips and rubber bands in the fucking world. So what happens next, Heath?
Okay, so the Iowa is shooting down the weather balloons, and FDR is doing clappy claps like a little kid. He's loving it. And over on the Willie D,
it's adorable.
Captain Walter wants to get in on the action. If they do one single thing without a tragic accident, maybe it'll break the curse. And a few of the weather balloons were drifting over near the Willie D. So he tells the gunner team to show off their stuff too. Now, I know it seems like they're going to shoot FDR in the face somehow or something like that, but no, they actually succeeded here. They popped a few balloons with anti-aircraft guns. I'm pretty sure that's the high point of the Willie D's career right now.
Still, I feel like there should be way more steps to firing anti-aircraft guns than, ooh, I want to try.
There are not. So that balloon popping high point was followed immediately by the low point for the William D Porter. And spoiler, they end up getting sunk during a battle in 1945, but this is worse. So the convoy decided to run a few more drills after the anti-aircraft demo, and that included some practice shots with the torpedoes from the Willie D.
Fucking what?
Yeah, great question, Noah. Great question.
What are they
What
doing?
is the correct question here? I am not sure what that means, practice torpedoes, or what that would really accomplish, and I can definitely imagine a pretty big downside, but
It's underwater. Just tell the president, yeah, man, we just knocked that torpedo the fuck out.
nailed it.
You can walk over to the edge and see it if you want. No? Okay, well, trust us.
Yeah, but that is what the naval historian said they did here. Torpedo practice. The plan is to have the Willie D do, I don't know, like a mime of shooting torpedoes at the Iowa, something with torpedoes.
They're like, you grab a torpedo and you come at me like this, overhand, like this.
Loosen your elbow. I feel like maybe you pick somebody who hasn't had 3 accidents in 36 hours for the shooting at the president job, though, right?
Yeah, a little fun fact. When I was 18, my best friend practiced shooting a BB gun at my practice face, and now my practice left eye doesn't work right. Let's see how this goes, Heath.
Does your left eye really not work?
Yeah, it's a real story. Yeah.
Shit. Yeah, BB guns. Okay, so the Iowa is about 6,000 yards away at this point, and the torpedo crew on the Willie D gets ready to run the drill. Lawton Dawson and Tony Fazio, those are the names of the sailors in charge of the torpedo stuff. Those are the torpedo men. And during an actual combat situation, that would mean they'd be making sure each torpedo has the primer installed and getting ready to fire. The primer is a small explosive charge that makes the torpedo firing actually happen. And during a drill, which again, this is a drill here, during a drill, Dawson and Fazio would remove the primers. For this drill, they planned on shooting 4 practice torpedoes. So Dawson went down to tubes 1, 2, 3, and 4, and he removed the primers from tubes 1, 2, and 4, and he gave a big thumbs up. Yep, is the correct comment there. Then the torpedo officer started the simulation and said, fire 1, fire 2, fire 3, and he did not end up saying fire 4, because after fire 3, everyone heard a big whooshing noise that they all recognized as definitely the sound of a fully armed torpedo with a 500-pound warhead getting launched at a boat carrying the president of the United States during a world war against an empire of Nazis.
Jesus.
Okay. There's no way that everyone on this boat wasn't a Nazi spy. Right? Clumsy and unsubtle Nazi spies, but like somehow they all got assigned to the same boat.
Really bad Nazi spies. Yes, that makes so much more sense than whatever the actual story is. So here's the account of what happened from Lieutenant H. Seward Lewis, who was a crew member on the Willie D. He sees the fully armed torpedo with the 500-pound warhead hit the water and start heading straight for the Iowa. So he walks over to Captain Walter and he says, hey, Captain, did you give permission to fire a real torpedo just now at the USS Iowa? To which the captain responded, exact quote, hell no, what? And exactly,
is that a real quote?
That is a real quote. Yes, it is. That is from the article from the naval historian that I'm basing most of this on.
Super the best.
And from there, after the what? The next 5 minutes aboard the Willie D was complete pandemonium, according to this officer Lewis who's there. With them running around and shouting conflicting instructions about what the fuck do we do now? I'm not sure why there was so much running, but that's what the guy said, and he was there.
Okay, but what about the captain's log? Did it report how much shit was in their pants? Because
if it didn't, then there was none.
Check the shit log. Shut up. Yeah.
This whole boat is full of cartoon bears. Everybody on this is a cartoon bear.
Yuggity. Just don't look down.
They all stop running, their heads click together back and forth. Yeah.
So an accidental torpedo, that's already problematic. But when there's an order of radio silence, it gets even worse. So without radio communication, somebody on the Willie D is like, all right, I'm going to try a flashing light signal to warn the Iowa that they need to turn starboard immediately. But he did the signal wrong and he indicated port instead of starboard here.
And then the guy on the other ship is shouting, my port or your port?
No, I get it, though. You can't break radio silence or somebody might shoot a torpedo. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on.
This whole sequence, though, just makes me realize how comically slow motion naval torpedoes must be. It has been minutes. It seems like a good swimmer with a pair of wire cutters could catch up to this thing and just snip the what?
Yeah, it feels very slow. 6,000 yards. That's like 5.5 kilometers. But yeah, super duper slow.
Feels like you could trick it if you were just like on a buoy with a red cape. You know what I mean? Just like,
you just paint a black hole in the ocean. It goes right through it.
So, best case scenario at this moment, the Iowa just ignored the stupid flashy light thing with the wrong word. Worst case, they're actively turning broadside into a direct hit from the torpedo. Either way, light flashy guy, he gives it another shot here. But as we already know, he's pretty bad at light flashy language.
One guy.
His second attempt said, we're going in reverse at full speed. Wait, fuck. You go in reverse at full speed. I'm saying you should do that. Fuck, I'm bad at this.
Do you have anyone good at flashlight stuff? This is super hard. Crying RN.
Yes. Guys, quick, what's flashlight for asterisk?
Why don't they let you edit your flashlights? They could. It's 120.
So I'm assuming an officer on the Willie D threw light flashy guy overboard at this point, just side tackled him and threw him overboard and decided they should very obviously just use the fucking radio. So the radio operator on the Willie D gets on the line and yells, Lion, come to right. Lion is the code word for the Iowa. And the operator on the Iowa was apparently a really big stickler for the rules. So he gets on the radio and he says, excuse me, but we're not supposed to be on the radio right now.
Actually.
Yeah, he actually is the guy. And he's like, please identify yourself before we move on. And after a few pleasantries like that and a positive ID, the guy on the Iowa finally listens and the Iowa starts reversing away from the torpedo's path.
Jesus, I feel like you mean lion come to right, please. Magic word.
Meanwhile, during all this high drama, the torpedo had stopped for a light snack. It's like, I'm on my 15. I'll get there when I get there.
Well, the torpedo was working for the Union, so.
Oh, that's true.
So while that's all happening, word of the incoming torpedo gets to President Roosevelt on the bridge of the ship, the USS Iowa. And apparently he was more curious than anything else. He had somebody move his wheelchair over by the railing so he could see the torpedo. And this is when FDR's personal Secret Service bodyguard drew his pistol.
What?
Not sure what he thought he was going to do there, but he had a gun ready.
He dives in front of the torpedo.
Whitney Houston starts playing in the background.
Don't worry, sir. This is just in case you can't kick it super hard.
So the Iowa is doing evasive maneuvers at this point. I thought it was just a right turn or a hard reverse, but I guess it's that plus more serpentine. You juke the torpedo.
Yeah.
So they're juking, they're doing spin moves, whatever, and they're also aiming all their guns.
X button.
They're aiming all their guns at the William D Porter now because they're thinking this actually might be an assassination plot.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
But yeah, it got really close to some firing there, but they never fired on the Porter because moments later, the torpedo detonated just behind them in their wake. The final radio exchange was the Iowa asking, hey, where did that real torpedo come from? And Captain Walter on the Porter being like, we did it.
Promise not to be mad. First, promise not to be mad.
Funny story.
You're going to laugh.
It's good to be good.
So following the almost killing the president, Captain Walter and his entire crew were placed under arrest, and they're sent to Bermuda for a court-martial. And when the Porter landed in Bermuda, it was surrounded by Marines. Or perhaps it wasn't, if you believe the super angry defensive guy on Wikipedia.
It was a group hug.
Either way, the offending crew was taken into custody, and the Navy did a full investigation. Eventually, Torpedo Man Dawson broke down and admitted that he forgot that it wasn't take the primer out of 1, 2, and 4. It was actually take the primer out of 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Why would
all
it not?
Those numbers? I forgot it was all of them. He also admitted that right after the torpedo launched for real, he panicked and he threw the spent primer over the side of the boat to cover his mistake. Now, unfortunately, the active speeding torpedo kind of blew his cover from the start because that doesn't make any sense.
He's like, no, officer, I haven't seen that primer before in my life. My cousin borrowed my destroyer last week. It could be his. He's just maybe
smudging torpedo primer across his top lip. Dawson? Who is this Dawson you speak of?
So the investigation ended, and as a punishment, Captain Walter and a bunch of the crew got super boring assignments that were definitely on shore, on land only. And Dawson got 14 years of hard labor, which is apparently a sentence we give in the military sometimes, or at least then. But at this point, President Roosevelt was like, come on, it's total accident. It's kind of funny, you got to admit. So full pardon, and he canceled the punishments.
Okay, just to be clear, the Navy guys who got in trouble got sentenced to not have to die at sea during wartime.
There you go.
It's confusing, yeah.
I mean, it seems like a super boring job is actually a cherry gig when the alternative is fighting in a goddamn war.
exactly.
Right, World War II, no less. Aboard the William D Porter, no less.
Yeah, I feel like FDR was like, no. They're getting out of something here. No. I pardon you. And no, you can be in the Navy still. Go enjoy the Battle of Okinawa. Good luck. Yeah. So the William D Porter has a new captain and a new crew. Of course, the ship itself is still under a Nazi prankster curse. But we spent a bunch of money on it. And if you just decommission the ship entirely, the Nazi prankster terrorists win. So the Navy sends the Willie D to still exist. They send him to patrol the Aleutian Islands off Alaska, figuring nobody important up there might get exploded by their Acme torpedoes. We're probably fine. We'll just get them out of the way. But within minutes of arriving in Alaska, the Porter somehow managed to fire an artillery shell into the front yard of the commander at their base.
What?
I'm not sure how you accidentally do all the stuff required to make that happen, but they did. It feels like the crew was just committing to the bit at this point, maybe. Nobody got killed, though, and we kept using the ship.
Meanwhile, at Nazi spy headquarters, guys, I said be chill. Be chill.
Definitely Nazi spies. Okay, so now it's 1945, and the Willie D, they leave Alaska to join up with a convoy of ships off the coast of Okinawa, Japan. And by this point, the ship is a running joke within the entire Navy. Everybody's heard the stories. When the Porter would arrive somewhere, the standard greeting was, "Don't shoot, we're Republicans." Okay, so that's confusing now, but I guess it made more sense in 1945. So the Battle of Okinawa is just getting started, and the Willie D gets sent into action. And again, within minutes, they accidentally shot hundreds of rounds into the side of another American ship, the USS William.
Jesus Christ. Oh, well, so to be fair, though, you guys didn't say the don't shoot joke. We're used to everybody says the same thing now.
Yeah, so I guess everyone had a quick laugh about the classic friendly fire shenanigans, and they moved on. And the Willie D actually did a few good things during the next couple months during the Battle of Okinawa. But then on June 10th, 1945, the ship's epically failed story came to an end. A Japanese bomber plane made of almost entirely wood and canvas slipped past the Allied defenses. It had pretty much no metal, so it didn't show up on radar. The bomber was full of explosives and headed straight for the Willie D, but it just barely missed and crashed into the water. It didn't explode, though, and it sank underneath, and everyone was relieved. But apparently, hex, it kind of sank sideways and then exploded directly under the hull of the Porter. The worst possible spot, opening a giant hole. The ship went under about 3 hours later, but everyone on board survived.
Okay, you know the captain of the Willie D was standing there on the bow, and the plane comes down within inches, and he stands there, he turns to his men, he's like, I knew it! I knew we weren't cursed! From now on, boom! And he's just like, okay, lifeboats, everybody.
You guys know the drill? You know the drill.
Lifeboats.
All right. And Heath, if you had to summarize what you've learned in one sentence, what would that sentence be?
I think Tom summed it up. Torpedoes are comically slow, and this ship was crewed by cartoon bears. I think that is all correct.
Also, World War II torpedoes, as we've discussed on this show before, like there was a 2 out of 3 shot that was just going to stick out of the side of it like a birthday candle. All right. So are you ready for the quiz?
Ready for the quiz.
All right, Heath, I think we can all agree that the curse of the USS William D Porter started with the name. What should the ship have been called instead? A, the Mayfire. B, the...
Oh, is that like the Mayflower?
Yeah.
Because it's a ship?
Yep. B,
Solid.
the Bismarck.
What?
Bismarck. The Bismarck. Very famous.
I know, I get that.
But what is Miss the mark? Miss the mark. Miss the mark. See?
Nailed it.
Thank you, Noah.
Does your wife have COVID? Is
Yes.
your cat sick?
I'm
Is that it?
I'm going to go give her some COVID.
Sun was in my eyes.
The Northern Lights were in my eyes. See? You
have one more?
Yeah. The USS Constant Shooting.
Oh, that was good.
See, that one's good. That one's
pretty
good.
good.
I'm
That's
glad
pretty
you added that one. That was
Constitution.
good. That was solid. Constitute. That's good.
It
Persevered.
is D, none of the above.
Correct.
Rough.
All right, Heath, I feel like the Willie D Porter would have had better luck with corporate sponsors. Which company's sponsorship would have set a better example? A, Target.
All right. Yeah, it's actually Target, but yes, A, I choose A.
Shit, mispronounced it. Yeah, all right.
All right. All these misfires were later attributed to a sickness on board. What did the military doctors say it was? A, firing pinfluenza. B, whoopsing cough. C, trajectile dysfunction. Or D, look out. Look out. Look out.
Okay. Look out. It's fantastic. It's got to be D. Look out.
Correct. You are correct. Look out.
All right.
Nailed
Well,
it.
correct or not, Look Out certainly wins, especially when it's going up against the Biz the Mark. So Cecil is going to be our winner this week.
So mean.
Jesus.
You get to choose the essayist.
Okay, it's going to be Noah. And Eli, you tried. That's all that counts.
Thank you, Cecil.
All right. Well, for Tom, Cecil, Heath, and notorious trier Eli, I'm Noah. Thank you for hanging out with us today. We're going to be back next week.
Burgundy ribbon.
I will be an expert on something else. Between now and then, you can hear more from Tom and Cecil on cognitive dissonance, and you can hear more from Heath, Eli, and myself on physical and spiritual dissonance. And if you'd like to help keep the show going, you can make a per episode donation at patreon.com/citationpod, or leave us a 5-star review everywhere you can. And if you'd like to get in touch with us, check out past episodes, connect with us on social media, or check the show notes, be sure to check out citationpod.com.
Okay, left. Wrong left. Nope, still not left. Go any direction except for the one you're going. You know what? Never mind. Give me the keys.
Get this. Adults with financial literacy skills have 82% more wealth than those who don't. From swimming lessons to piano classes, us parents invest in so many things to enrich our kids' lives. But are we investing in their future financial success? With Greenlight, you can teach your kids financial literacy skills like earning, saving, and investing. And this investment costs less than that after-school treat. Start prioritizing their financial education and future today with a risk-free trial at greenlight.com/get started. That's GREENLIGHT.com/get started.
Hey, I'm Ryan Reynolds. Recently, I asked Mint Mobile's legal team if big wireless companies are allowed to raise prices due to inflation. They said yes. And then when I asked if raising prices technically violates those onerous 2-year contracts, they said, "What the f*** are you talking about, you insane Hollywood ass?" So to recap, we're cutting the price of Mint Unlimited from $30 a month to just $15 a month. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes. See details.